around 700,000 people visit our museum each year. We have 80% international visitors. Our local German visitors basically gone down from 30% in 2015 to 20% in 2016. So we see a certain saturation in the German market. This is why we want to open up with new things. So right now we are reconfiguring our permanent exhibition, the architecture, the concept, the design, everything. And we're going to open up in 2019 again, but we will not close the museum. We will stay open. The first and second floor of the Libeskind building will be closed, but we have the architectural highlights in the basement, and the garden and the old building will be open. We will be showing a huge Jerusalem exhibition, and we are also working on a museum for children. You might have seen yesterday already, Miriam showed it. This museum for children will focus on openness and respect for the new and diverse. It's based on the story of Noah's Ark, as you might see, all the nice animals. And it will be a hands-on, minds-on museum and encourage sustainable actions. The department I'm heading is the Digital and Publishing Department, and we have a team of experts in conceptual work and implementation of web applications, databases, editing text, images and films, and coding as well. And we are also publishing all books, the catalogs, our magazine, and so on. So for some of you, this might sound as a big advantage to have a digital department with all these experts in the field, and it is. I'm really grateful to have this brilliant team, and some of them are here as well, and I'm really happy to work with them, but there's also a downside. Going digital has not yet changed the DNA of our museum. We really think in departments rather than in projects, and so we are just opening up now to work more in cross-disciplinary teams, because we think we can learn much more from each other if we work from the start together, and also bring the digital mindset, which is in our department, to our colleagues in the other departments. So when I talk about digital, then of course we're doing it for quite obvious reasons, like engaging to our visitors already in touch with us and turning them into enthusiasts for our museum. And we also want to reach out to new audience, maybe even audience that might not come to the museum but are, I don't know, in New York and can come, or they are bedridden and cannot visit our museum. In our exhibitions, we want to encourage dialogue, interaction and participation, and of course we want to create fun and evoke emotions. But much more importantly is the digital revolution is transforming how information is shared and how people engage with the world and the museum. And we believe to be successful in the coming years, we as a museum need to transform the way we relate to our visitors. We have to accommodate the fact that visitors are more and more online, and we want to target them where they are. And this is, they all bring their devices to our museum, so we should really just adjust to that. And they expect a seamless handoff between devices and channels as they experience the museum in all of these different contexts before, during, and after the visit. And actually, we don't want to differentiate so much between analog and digital. Actually, before I joined the museum, I never did that. I really learned it in the museum that there's digital and there's analog. But I think we should really have an integrative concept of physical and digital in every project, online and in the museum. So I first want to give you a short introduction of where we are today, and then I want to focus on one specific project where we're heading to. I start with the website relaunch, the very big project that was already halfway done when I joined the museum last year, and I think it was the right step, a big step in the right direction. Our old website was sorted by, or had an organizational perspective. So we had, for every department, we had kind of a page on our website. So this was representing how we still think in a way. But this is basically not the user's perspective, because either they want to visit our museum, so they want to know what's on, or they are researchers in a certain field and they look online, not on our website, but on search engines and social networks for certain topics, and then they don't care if it's an online publication or if it's a book in our library or if it's an object in our archive. They just want to have everything collected together. And to meet these users' needs, we cross-linked all content that we created in the last 15 years. And I have to say that the Jewish Museum's website, I think, is slightly different to what I normally know from websites, because we have so much content created in the last years. We have 3,000 pages with all kind of different stories about Jewish life. And we put a lot of emphasis on context, topic, and target group to sort it new. So we contextualized our content. For example, if users are looking for our current exhibition, Cherchez la Femme, they could also find, or they can also find now, related publications, the events, and the educational programs, for example, or they can also inform themselves about the coming exhibitions if they want to come back. We also sorted our content by topics, because statistics show that most of our visitors find us on search engines and social networks, searching for certain keywords, like I put the example Islam here, and they will find now sorted on a page, for example, again, the actual exhibition, Cherchez la Femme, because it's one focus in this exhibition, but they will also find the Jewish Islamic Forum of our academy, for example. And we have organized our content to target certain groups like teachers, stakeholders, or our members, in order to provide them with specific offers for their needs. So as I said, I also want to share some challenges with you. Of course, we got a lot of positive feedback from our users. We launched last September. And the first one I actually said already, we are still thinking in departments instead of projects sometimes. And although we really made this a huge project, we brought all the different departments on board. We had 1 year of workshops with all the different departments. And it was great. They were sharing their perspective. But we still sometimes face this is your website, this is a digital and publishing's website. But it's our website, it's the museum's website. And we still see it as our daily task to motivate them to publish their research online and not only in books and journals. Another challenge was that we had too many parallel ventures. We were not only restructuring the content in the way I told you, and it was 3,000 pages. We were rewriting all these 3,000 pages. We had a new kind of style of language. We were redesigning the whole page, and we introduced a new content management system. And I have the luxury that I have 2 people in my team with development skills, but they didn't know anything about this new content management system. For them, it was kind of the feeling of being dependent on external partners all of a sudden, because they didn't know anything about how to work with this new content management system. So it was sometimes just really hard to keep everything in line and to have all these discussions with the external partners and to tell them also the way of thinking instead of just doing it on your own. And that led sometimes, after 2 long years it took us, so it's quite a long time, it was just sometimes very hard to motivate ourselves to keep going. And here I would like to say that the first lesson I learned in the museum was patience. Before I joined the museum last year, I was managing director of a startup company. So in startup companies, our main focus is to disrupt existing industries. We are used to be super fast, to fail often, to learn from our mistakes, to try again and again. And in museums, it's slightly different. We have long-term targets, and we produce a sustainable product. So it's really amazing, but we have to be aware of realistic timeframes as well. And we should avoid being overwhelmed by setbacks and frustrations. And at a certain point, I just accepted that it takes a lot of patience. And I liked Leila saying yesterday, persistence is one word I added to my presentation, because I was like, yes, that's actually it. to demonstrate the benefits of digital and user-centric focus. I mean, startups, if you don't focus on your users, nobody will use your product, and then the investors will just shut down your startup. So for me, it was really a learning process that user-centric focus is something kind of new for the museum. But I think we can adopt from the startup world this digital mindset. This means not to be afraid to fail and learn from our mistakes and to try again and to not be afraid of change, but instead being optimistic about change. We also made some great progress in the field of open access. We tried to widen our online presence and be accessible for everyone. So here you can see our last catalog of the Golem exhibition we published online. We also have a blog and an online collection, and the library OPAC is open for everyone. We film and live stream our conferences and panel discussion and put them on YouTube and our website. We succeed in convincing our colleagues of publish their work on our website. This is a great exhibition we made with our archive about fallen German Jewish soldiers in the First World War. We also made some nice online formats with our exhibition department. And with open access, I also mean that our website is finally fully responsive, so you can read it on any device. And we put a lot of emphasis on optimization for people with disabilities, because we want to have an inclusive website. We try to publish more and more pictures with Creative Commons license, but I have to say that is a huge challenge. And we are trying to mainly use open source software because we don't want to be dependent on private companies, and we want to encourage open collaboration. Also here some challenges. I don't want to go into details about rights issues, but I want to admit that we are really frustrated about the rights situation, at least in Germany. And for us, it's not so much about the copyrights. We are a museum which focuses on the 20th century, so we have a lot of photographs of people that we are not sure if they're still alive, and is this portraits right? So we just cannot publish a lot of things. To just give you one example, we have 62,000 objects now recorded in our collection management software, and we cannot even publish a quarter of it. And we calculated that, or my collection colleague calculated it. She said if we really did the research for one object, we would need like 6 hours. And if we only research for these missing 47,500 objects now, we would need 285,000 hours or 168 years for a one full-time employee. So it's just not doable. So we can either just wait for better laws, or, and this is what we are doing, we are taking on more risks, because the option would only be to publish nothing online, but this is not really an option for us. The next challenge was that we had to find out a lot about open access. We don't know anything yet, of course. We had to find out what works and what doesn't. So, for example, the videos of the academic events that I showed you before are clicking very well, but actually our academic book series was not sold so well, so we stopped it now. Or the live streaming I told you before, actually nobody's listening. Well, 20 people are listening on the live streaming, but a lot of people are listening to the audio file, which is then on our website. So I think, again, and I repeat what I said in the beginning, it's very hard to admit a mistake, but I think it's absolutely necessary. And an overall trial and error strategy helps us to find the most successful formats, because we will learn from that. And last not least, to publish your work online, freely accessible for everyone, can be very difficult for colleagues, and we just realized that we need to overcome a lot of opposition here as well. There's an underlying fear, and we have to take that serious, and we just see it as our task to highlight the benefits of open access to everyone. And there it helps to communicate as much as you can with as many people as possible, and to try to turn them into allies. Because only with sharing, and this is why I'm sharing that all with you too, and with openness, we can get a discussion going and we can change people. So where are we going? You all know the great thing about online products is that we can measure them. Every click on a website can be evaluated and analyzed. And I really want to emphasize that it's not about spying on our customers, but it's really to learn what they want, what they're interested in, and what they don't understand, so that we can improve our products and serve users better. And in the Jewish Museum, we have the luxury of a visitors research department. They are there since the beginning, since 2001, and they keep asking our visitors what they like, why they come to the museum, what they expect, and many more questions. But only recently, basically last year, did we start asking our visitors about our website, our social media channels, our blog. So currently, we are really researching in online marketing. We try to understand search engines better. We work here together with the marketing team, and we want to optimize our content so that it ranks better on the search engines to target specific customers. We want to use new email marketing tools so that we can target specific groups with content that they are really interested in, and we want to establish a whole new communication strategy all over the different channels, especially concerning our new opening in 2019. But most importantly, we will keep asking our visitors what they want and what they would love to see online and in our museum. And we have to win them over and turn them into lifetime customers. And we are doing that with really opening up. So right now we are experimenting in this new field, inspired by the citizen science movement, you might know, or initiatives like Wikimedia. We are right now developing a collaborative interactive map application that visualizes current and historical Jewish life in Germany, because we feel the logical consequence of open access is basically collaboration, and we see it as a great opportunity for the museum. We don't do that alone. We don't have to do everything on our own. So we are partnering with a lot of very great institutions like Wikipedia, like also small local sites that have collected thousands and thousands of data from Jewish life in the last 15 to 20 years. And we want to link up with these websites from our portal. So we also don't want to be an exclusive website, but have a network of Jewish life websites, basically. And we will launch that in 2018 and open up the website to everyone who's interested in working with us. And we are convinced that users can help us to collect information and improve also the quality of the collected data. So these are very German pictures, I know. But I anyway wanted to show you that to you, because we're working with this concept of persona 2 that was mentioned here before. And here you can see the range of different target groups we identified. On the one hand, it's students. We want to approach with our education department. They are actually part of our team, and they are touring around Germany with our museum with a small exhibition. And they make a lot of workshops with students, so this is how we want to reach them. Then the researchers, we call him Hans-Jürgen. This is basically the main target group. These are the people that will help us, we think, fill our portal, because they're mostly retired older people, and they have really time to research in certain fields. Sometimes it's a hobby, sometimes they are experts in other fields, but they are really brilliant in researching all the details we don't have the time for. And descendants of German Jewish exiles who research about their family story can also be a huge target group for us. So we started with prototyping. We heard before what we are, why you're doing that. It's just we wanted to test our concept before we develop the real application. It's just cheaper to throw away a prototype than the real application. And we tested it on users, on researchers, and on students. And we got very positive feedback, but we also learned some things on the way. So, for example, we were so much concerned with the content we had that we kind of tried to structure it in categories, and we introduced different modes. I don't want to go into details here, but in the end, we totally forgot about the user. And they were all super confused in the beginning how to start, and actually they all just wanted to look what kind of Jewish life is in my hometown. So in the application now we put a lot of emphasis on the search functionality. I can only show you wireframes today because we are in the middle of developing. So this has nothing to do with the design, but it's just we are working together with an agency for half a year now, and we came up with a lot of features. Here you can see when you enter the website, it will be a web-based application, so it will not be an app on your phone, but it should work for all kind of devices. And you can see here we localize you and zoom in the map so that you see only the places around you. And then we have 4 main categories: location, institution, biographies, and city walks. And you can surf the map, or you can take one of these city walks. We want to curate that. In every big town there should be kind of a curated tour. For example, this is a part of Berlin where you can see all the highlights around a certain part. The user can use the faceted search. As I said, we put a lot of emphasis in that. It's not only a search field, but you can see here, if you click on institutions, you have many more categories. This is what users asked for. So you have synagogues, cemeteries, educational institutions, and so on. Sorry that it's all in German. We will only launch in German for now because of the limited budget, I have to say. You can switch on and off all these different categories. So if you want to only see the synagogues, for example, you just switch off all the other parts. You can also use the search field, of course, and then as you can see, you see only the synagogues now here around. And if you click on one of these markers, you can, a so-called info panel, we call it, opens. You can see a lot of images, videos, an address, of course. You see a short chronology here and a description page, and if you scroll down, you see everyone who joined in the project. So the sites, the pages I mentioned before, and also the usernames. Oh, I should go back. You see up there on the info panel the usual sharing button and the favorite list, but the very important thing is the little pencil. And in the real application, now the design will come in. It will be like everywhere so that you can really see that you can join in. You just click on this pencil, and then you can edit every single entry in whatever way you want, and it's immediately live. We are checking that afterwards, but we say that the user needs the immediate feedback, so we will publish it immediately. This is where we're taking on some risks. You can also, as a user, collect data, for example, in your hometown. Take a picture of a cemetery, and then you can upload it on our portal and create new entries. And the challenges here, as you might have guessed already, is these target groups are really hard to bring together. They have totally different backgrounds, they have a totally different approach and also interest in the platform. And the quality of the texts will vary a lot, we know that. And we don't have the resources to edit every single text on the website. So we just hope that there will be a strong community that will set standards and unify texts as good as it can. And there's the next problem coming in. Who will building up this community? I'm very open with you. People who work in community building know how time-consuming it can get to build a lively community and to entertain it, and even more to keep them, alive and entertain and motivate them. But additionally, we have to keep the platform running, stay in touch with our network partners, edit the content. So far, we just don't have enough people in-house to take care of this huge process. To open a website for users bears another risk. Besides the quality aspect, there's a certain danger of misuse, especially in our field. On the one hand, we might have right issues because people will upload pictures and text without knowing that they cannot be shared online because they don't know anything about the legal situation. But we also might have racist comments, and our website might be misused for discriminatory reasons. But I strongly believe that only transparency can help us to minimize the risk and increase good quality content. And I think we need to be very open in what we are doing and how we are doing, and only if we share our experiences, we can get help from all different sides. And we really hope for a strong network of enthusiasts that will work on the page and organize themselves. And what helps us? Sometimes I feel like that, but of course that is not what will help us. As I said, a lot of sharing and openness, and my key is always the transparency, that you really tell everyone what you're doing and how you're doing it. But we also put on some new methodologies, and everybody knows that by now because we heard it, I think, 3 or 4 times. We created a design thinking lab. We have one conference room that looks like that with all these funny post-its, and we have a table where you can stand, and we have a lot of design thinking workshops now. There is the team which is developing the audio guide we are creating right now. And what I love about design thinking is that you work in mixed teams from the beginning. So on these workshops were 12 people from 6 different departments, and we brought them in from the very beginning, the different perspectives, but we also have them on board for the project, which is very important. And what I also love about design thinking is the human-centered design, the persona I mentioned before, but this is how we start now with every project. These are the persona from the website. And we also have some experience with agile project management. It was mentioned before this morning. How many of you are working agile? Okay, so I give a very short introduction. So what you basically do is, it comes from software development, and it comes because the software developers were always complaining that the CEO is always putting a lot of pressure and more features on the website, and it just couldn't handle it anymore. So they invented it, and it's basically to cut or to divide big projects into smaller parts, into so-called increments. And then you're going iteratively, so you analyze, implement, deploy, test, evaluate. So it's basically also design thinking is taking a lot from that, and then do the circle again and again and again till you're convinced that this is what you want to deploy, and then you do that. And you also work in teams with certain rules. So you have a certain time frame, it's called sprints, and you agree on delivering, let's say, 10 tasks in this certain time sprint. And after 10 days, after let's say the sprint is 2 weeks long, and after the 2 weeks you have delivered all the different tickets. So it's easier to show it to you because we use it now in our web team. So this is a Scrum Board. And on the left side, you can see all the user stories, certain tasks we have to do, and we agreed on 4-week sprints. So we cut down the different user stories in a lot of subtasks, the yellow tickets, and in the end of the 4 weeks, everything should be in the done, and then you can start afresh. And we hope for being more flexible with this methodology, and to have a better structure in the team, to show transparency, because this is hanging in our hallway, so everybody can pass and see what we're doing right now. And a colleague told me last week, it's like a virus now. It's not only used in the web team, it's also in our Jewish Places team, in the audio guide team, and now the education department is taking it on as well. And so we are agile now. It's a huge step for us. We're taking on the digital mindset more and more, failing sometimes, learning more often. And I can only recommend to everyone in every field, don't be afraid of mistakes, stay curious, and embrace change. Thank you.